And we are live. Welcome to this edition of Wealthy Wednesday. Today is going to be fire. Well, my name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist and insurance professional. It's really my crusade to help you properly protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth so you can build that legacy and create generational and multi-generational wealth for you and your family. Folks, we've already had generational poverty. Now's the time to break those generational curses and create the generational legacy that we want to really live for our family, which is going to be our wisdom and our wealth. And I truly believe that anyone that comes in contact with me, it's because they are the one in their family. You know, every family goes along until the one comes along. And that's the one that changes their family's last name forever. But today, it's not about me. It's about my incredible guest that I'm so honored. He's taken the time away from his very busy schedule. He is actually a retired law enforcement, also military veteran, John Well Maxwell certified coach, trainer, speaker, executive director. He empowers business owners to unlock their potential and bring out that passion. His passion lies in inspiring others to grow and lead and thrive. And today's topic is, I'm so fired up about it. It is self-leadership, employee to entrepreneur mindset. And so with that being said, please give it up and welcome Mr. Ron Graziano. Take it away, Ron.
Hi, Leah. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for sharing some time with your Wealthy Wednesday group. And I know that they're following you and wealth planning, wealth development, wealth creation, wealth, grabbing it and bringing it in. Entrepreneurship is one of those things that sometimes entrepreneurs wait too long in their entrepreneur journey to start planning for that. So, what you're doing for our community and sharing with them the importance of, create, build, and protect your wealth is so important.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we had a great coffee chat before we got on here live. And what I really loved, Ron, is that you talked about the mindset of an employee versus entrepreneur. And, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, self-employed, small business owners. And when I see they're struggling, typically it's because they've been an employee for a long period of time and they're a really good employee. They checked all the boxes, they crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, and then they became an entrepreneur in some form or fashion. And they really haven't made that switch. Could you kind of touch on, just kind of give us an overview? What is an employee mindset versus an entrepreneur mindset, right? What are some of the differences?
Yeah, well, I think it really starts with understanding leadership, right? But here's the thing. I'm sure that in your business and your wealth consulting and wealth direction, we grew up that one of the things we didn't talk about was, well, there were three things, right? There was three things that as we were all brought up, we were all told the same three things that we never talk about, right? We don't talk about in public. We don't talk about money, we don't talk about religion, and we don't talk about politics, right? Right? I mean, that was the thing. And so when it comes to wealth, I think that's part of the piece too. See, an employee mindset comes with the idea that I don't need a great amount of leadership in my daily function. So I think, before we really get into understanding the difference between the employee mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset and how we go beyond the entrepreneurial mindset, because there's another layer in entrepreneurship, right? When we move past entrepreneurship, people think that the CEO role only belongs to that employer-employee relationship. But I found that when we can help entrepreneurs move beyond their entrepreneurial success into their CEO mindset, and how we change even the entrepreneurial mindset to scale and grow beyond that potential. So, if you give me a minute, I'd like to start with just what is self-leadership. And this comes strongly from being involved with the John Maxwell team, right? You're not going to find anybody that's going to speak about leadership, right? We're not talking about the Tony Robbins version. We're not talking about the John Gordon version of teams, right? We're talking about John Maxwell, who has written more books than anybody. He's the most published author on this topic. And John starts with saying, all things rise and fall on leadership, right? All things rise and fall on leadership. And then the next layer that is that leadership is nothing more than influence. It's influence, nothing more nothing less. The highest form of leadership is my self-leadership. I have to start by leading myself. The greatest purpose of leadership is adding value to others. Growing up the oldest of five, I didn't realize at the time that I was being built for leadership. And when I went on active duty at 17 years old, my DNA at 17 was being designed for leadership, right? Because we know now, we didn't know then, right? When we were 17, 18 years old, we already thought we arrived, right? We were great. We turned 18 and the world was just going to open us up and embrace us, right? Everything was going to change. And the other myth that comes along with this age myth, right, is that things are going to get easier. I think a lot of us are in a season of life right now. See, that's one of the myths too, going from employee to entrepreneur, that suddenly my life is going to get easier. That if I become a leader, I will have other people to do the work and my life will become easier. And that's not the reality. So we have to break some of these myths, these barriers to success by understanding the importance of, okay, so what is it exactly? So self-leadership, we have to start by understanding that what is the culture that comes along with self-leadership. So if don't have great control of myself, then as I build my business, because you know what, Leah? Employees think that once they become the boss, people stop watching them. I want everybody to think about that for a second. As an employee, you feel like the eyes are always on you, right? People are always watching you. They're watching your time. They're watching your productivity. They watch what time you come. They watch what time you leave. They watch how long you take for lunch. They watch who you talk to in the office. But when you become an entrepreneur, guess what happens? More people watch you because everybody's watching. Everybody's watching all the time. You go out in the business place and your customers are watching you. The other people in that business are watching you. Prospects are watching you. Your employees are watching you. All the regulatory bodies that you're responsible to answer to, they're watching you. So everybody's watching you. So the idea that the culture is so important. And John talks about this in his book, Becoming a Person of Influence, in that you cannot live a life of duplicity. And we all know, and if you don't know, now you're going to know, that your social media is part of how employees see you. The good employers are looking deep into your social media history. See, when I was the COO for a private security company, one of the things that we did was background checks. Right. And there's tools out there that even though you think we can't find you, if you had that disposable phone number that you're using for that alias social media account, stop. Wow. Stop. We will find you. If your employer wants to find you, they're going to find you. So you can't live a life of duplicity. That's the biggest challenge, I think, because an employee mindset says when I'm at work, I'm at work. But when I'm off, that's my time. Right? That's my time. So make sure that we're not living a life of duplicity, especially once I move into my self-leadership role as an entrepreneur. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next one. What comes next in self-leadership? Identity. What is your identity? And protect your priorities. Now, when I talk about this with some of my coaching clients and when I'm mentoring, and I'm talking to people about how do I make that shift, right? As an entrepreneur, I quickly learned that there were certain things that I was willing to do and I wanted to do on a regular basis, right? And some of those things were C words, right? So I think about a list of C words, and the list of C words for me are words like collaborate, cooperate, right? The one C word that I refused to do that I learned very early on was capitulate. I have non-negotiables. And here's something that I talk to entrepreneurs about a lot. In the service industry, that's the space I've been in. So I've been in the service industry space my entire life. whether I was serving as on active duty, whether I was serving as a law enforcement officer, whether I was serving as a director of national training. It doesn't matter what role I had. It was connected to serving others. And, in the service business, we always hear things like the customer is always right. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it doesn't mean that that's the right customer for me. The customer can be right. But if I'm going to know myself and protect myself and know my identity and have my priorities, then I have to understand. Now, this is different from the idea that, you want to be for your customers. And as an entrepreneur, you quickly learn that you want to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And so that's the other piece, right? And we're going to go down to a list of employee and entrepreneur behaviors.
And let me just kind of let you pause. Let's let you pause right there. Kind of want to circle back. You brought up some amazing points. I want to highlight a few things. And I also want to welcome Miss Kendra. She's going to be one of my guest speakers. She had a great point that I'm going to touch on, but I want to circle back to this theory of duplicity. Duplicity. I've never heard it said that way. One of my first mentors, he framed it this way. And this was before we had social media. But he told us, he said a couple of things. One was, he said, if you don't want to see it on the front page of the newspaper, for some of you younger folks, that was paper that we used to get that was sent to our house and we picked up at the corner store that told us the news. Okay, that was a long time ago. If you don't want to see it on the front page of the newspaper, don't do it. And he said, you know what? You can't be a leader here and be one way and be all rah and positive and smiley and puppy dogs and rainbows, and then go home and kick the cat and yell at your kids and bicker and fight with your wife. You just can't do it. It's not congruent. And even though then we didn't have cameras everywhere, but you know what? We still had our congruency within ourselves. Even though we didn't say we were doing those things, and of course I'm being facetious, right? I'm over. All right. But even though we may not have seen on the newspaper, maybe that we didn't have social media, but we were not congruent within ourselves. And people can feel that when you're not congruent. And, I want to share this story because I think it's really just to your point. I actually raised my kids in the Central Valley. And my kids, my ex-husband's very dark complected. So both of my kids are very dark complected. And so a lot of times people didn't think or know that I was their mom, right? Because, I'm not as dark complected as my children are. And I've seen people say things to them, do things to them that they had no idea. Now, I will say this. In that community, I was volunteering for the parent club, the Boy Scouts, the book club, like fundraiser, all of that. So I was kind of known in the community, right? So people might have treated me one way, but then if they saw my kids, they might have thought something else about them and they treated them a completely different way. You never, ever know who is watching and who could see what you're doing. And we all make mistakes. Right? We all make mistakes, but I think that just what your point is, we can't live that life of duality. We can't be doing one thing over here and then thinking that it doesn't impact our other life over here. And as we're entrepreneur, I'd love to know what you think about this, Ron. I really believe as we're entrepreneurs, that line, like as an employee, might be a little bit that you can do that, but as an entrepreneur, it's all one and the same. What do you think about that? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Simon Sinek talks a lot about, your vision and your values should be verbs. They should be actions, not just words. So, when we think about, integrity, we can say things like, our company has integrity, perseverance, commitment, right? But instead we should change those. And as an entrepreneur, I think about, integrity means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. And we can all be a great leader and we can all be a great role model when everybody's watching, right?
Right.
When we're putting it on display, because that's the other thing, right? Leadership is a very visual thing, right? We have to put it on display in order to other people see it, because if everything rises and falls on leadership, then that's the piece, right? So I'm just thinking, how about making sure we're doing the right thing even when no one's watching? And that's the not living a life of duplicity, right? So what I do here is what I do there. And the other thing that has changed is that our social circles, although they have moved away, they've expanded in some ways, right? Our social circles used to be very tight, right? Everybody you worked with, you went to church with, you shopped with, we all joke about small town. Everybody knows what you're doing, right? Well, small town has become global, and social media has made my small town presence global, right? Like people will message
Yeah.
me and say, "Oh, I saw you were over here today." Hey, they see the pictures you post on your social media feed, and they say, "Oh, I see you were at Disney. I see you were here. I see you were there. What were you doing?" So I think that's important to the fact that everybody's watching.
Yeah, that's so good. And Noelle has this great comment. She said, entrepreneurship absolutely has its own challenges. I often think that I'm not a leader because I don't have employees. However, I keep reminding myself on task is more important in moving my business forward. People are watching you. And this is what I truly believe. And I would love to hear your thoughts, Ron, is that as we become entrepreneurs, we really become under a microscope. People will be there rooting for us, and maybe they're not rooting for us, and sometimes they're secretly rooting for us, right? But suddenly it's like we get magnified. People are really, they're so curious because they see you were courageous, quote unquote, and you did it, and they're wondering if they could do it too. So what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, part of leadership is that inspiring others, right? Encouraging others to do well, making others better. And so, one of the things I think about is when I'm thinking about how I'm living my life as an entrepreneur. But the point about that you don't have employees doesn't relieve you of the responsibility to be a great self leader, because at some point you're going to scale your business, and you're going to have to hire people. And even if you're hiring, as I built my entrepreneur, I'm on company number 4. And as I'm building company number 4, I treat everybody in my ecosystem. I have people who contribute to my business, and they may not be a direct employee of mine, but I rely on them for me to be able to deliver on my promise. You see? And so one of the things we learned, so just a little kind of delve off, just a little sidetrack here. The consumer behavior has changed, right? With e-commerce, consumer behavior has changed. And as the entrepreneur, I need to be able to understand that. So I need to understand that while the USP used to be my main thing, that's how I used to communicate my brand, right? That unique selling proposition. We know that because consumer behavior has changed and how they need immediately gratification, and how they can we moved away from just having destination marketing and interruption marketing to now attraction marketing, right? So this is a new term in the marketing space, right? Attraction marketing. But what comes along with attraction marketing is what we're calling now the RDP. And the RDP is a result-driven promise. And see, if I don't have self-leadership, I will struggle with that result-driven promise, because I have to deliver on it. In order to deliver it, I have to keep myself accountable. I have to have integrity. I have to make sure that I know I can do the things that I'm going to say. Say what you mean, right? Don't be mean when you say it. Those kind of things. So, those are all things that most people, when they're making that transition from employee to entrepreneur, the reason why they were probably successful, and I think you probably see this too, Leah, when you're doing your wealth advising, is that most entrepreneurs start off with a side hustle. And they start off with a side hustle, and they start generating this other income, this other revenue stream, right? And as they're doing that, they start understanding, like, wow, I have to deliver on my promise, because when I tell somebody I'm going to do something for them, I have to deliver it because I want them to tell other people. And that's how the side hustle starts, right? The side hustle starts by, I know a guy. And for a long time, I was that guy. And it's funny because I'm getting ready to write a book, and the book that I thought I was going to write was going to be that guy. But instead of writing that guy book, because sometimes that guy is not always seen as the right guy. Instead, I talk about Self-leadership is really driven on finding a way to yes, right? Find a way to yes. Because as an employee, it's so easy to find a way to no, right?
Right.
It's so easy to find a way to no. But as an entrepreneur, we need to find a way to yes. Because every time we find a way to yes, what we do is we do what Jeff Henderson talks about in his book, What Are You Known For? If you're watching, please go. If you're not going to do anything else, what are you known for? Right? The book is called For, F-O-R, the word for, Jeff Henderson. And one of the things he says is that every single day that I take away from that is, as I'm building my culture, I try to wow one person every single day. I try to do for one person every single day what I wish I can do for everybody. And that's my way of living the life of find a way to yes.
I love that. Yeah, Jennifer Hensley says find a way to yes is powerful. I love that you said that. So, man, that
Finding a
brings
way to
up
yes
a lot
is
of
doing the hard work. And that's the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur, right? Finding a way to yes is that innovative drive that entrepreneurs have. Listen, let's not kid each other. Entrepreneurship at its core is all about taking great risk without any promise of reward. Taking great risk without any promise of reward. And just because you were successful today, there's no guarantee you're going to be successful tomorrow, a week from now. And this is where the discipline piece comes in.
Right.
So if you can't start building self-leadership as an employee when you're getting ready to make that lift to entrepreneurship, then how are you going to be able to exercise great discipline? So here's one of the things that I did, and I say moving self-leadership for CEOs. CEOs spend time with people that are aligned with them. See, if you're running a side hustle and you're going to work, the other people in the office or your peers are probably saying things like, hey, what did you do this weekend on Monday morning? And most of them say, hey, I watched the football game. I went out on the boat. I took a trip. If you're running a side hustle, that's probably when you did your business. And you say things like, hey, I did my side job. I made $3,000 this weekend doing my side job. And those people are going to say, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So you can't, you have to get out of that people pile. John calls it the people pile, right? You got to get out of the people pile. You got to get out of the people pile. So spend time with people you're aligned with. Find other people that you want to align yourself with. The final one is know your role, live your role, and get out of your own way. I know so many people who have amazing side hustles that can be very, very successful. They just can't get out of their own way. And I'm sure you've seen this too, Leah, right? You've seen people with when they're trying that, when they finally realize maybe I need to develop some wealth, is I can't afford to put that money in a savings account.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't afford to put that, but because they can't get out of their own way, right? They have this idea in their mind that I can't do that, right? That's for other people, right? That investing thing, that's for other people. That's for the ultra rich, right? Only the ultra rich invest because they have all this extra money.
Right.
But, so know your role, live your role, and get out of your own way. How about we pause there and see if anybody has any comments or questions?
Yeah, that's so good.
If that resonates or they can relate to that.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in the chat. Type question. Ron is a tremendous resource, and I'm just picking up what you're putting down. A lot of what you're saying, I love the way that the phraseology that you're using. Because sometimes that might resonate with people a little bit easier, right? If it's something that they can, a phrase that they can kind of pick up and put in their pocket. So a lot of this is going to be things that maybe you're going to get later. I promise you, because there's a lot of wisdom in here.
Yeah,
and
if you're feeling what I'm saying right now, and you're feeling like you're in that trap, you're in that in-between space. Maybe you have a full-time job, you're doing a side hustle, and you're starting to think, maybe I can do this full-time. I just don't know how to take the leap. Here's the other one. If you're into entrepreneurship and it's that first 18 months, 24 months, 3 to 5 year period, okay, and that's the time that you're in, think about this. Stop telling yourself, get out of your own way by stop telling yourself, well, if this doesn't work, I can go back to my job. I have to tell you, I've tried it. I've tried it. I am broken. I'm in the broken toy box, right? Entrepreneurs, something changes in that experience, and I cannot work for somebody else. I cannot be an employee of somebody else, because my mindset and the innovation and how I see things, because nobody tells me anymore, Ron, you're not quite ready for that yet. Nobody tells me anymore what my earning potential should be. Nobody tells me, based on a national average in your role with these responsibilities, this is how much we're going to compensate you. It doesn't matter if you do 25, 50% more work. We love that. That's great. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if you're feeling what I'm saying, write in the comments, get out of my way.
Yeah, that's good.
If you feel like you're trapped in that spot and you know that wow, I can do this. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to being an accountant. If it doesn't work, I'll just go back to being an engineer. The thing that you hate, you will go back to doing the thing that you hate, because that's really going to improve your emotional intelligence.
Yeah. See, I love the quote, I don't have a plan B because it just distracts from plan A, right? Burn the boats. You got to be all in. You got to play full out. That means that you are going for it. Like, you just can't even my mentor, one of my mentors said this to me: if we understood how powerful our thoughts were, we wouldn't even think a negative thought about ourselves or our business. Don't even allow it to creep in. Get rid of it as soon as it comes in, because it's insidious, right?
It's that abundance mindset. You know, when I took my first company from $30,000 in gross revenue in year 1 to $1.4 million in gross revenue in year 4, that was solely based on, I went out to work every single day and I ignored the no's. See, I used a negative reinforcement. The negative reinforcement I used was, I just ignored the no's.
Yeah.
That wasn't the desired outcome I had. The desired outcome I had was yeses. And so I ignored the no's, and I went to work every day knowing that there are people out there that need what I have, that need what I do. I just haven't met them yet. And the responsibility is mine. That's the other shift from employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. See, an employee mindset, I go to work every day and I wait for my boss to tell me what to do. An entrepreneur mindset, I have to go out and get it. I have to create it myself. So let's talk a little bit about some of the core skills that you think about when you're thinking about employees. Because as an entrepreneur, if you're growing your business, at some point, you're going to have to scale your company and you're going to have to add employees, right? So what makes a great employee? Let's think about, what are some of the core things that make a great employee? What are some of the core things that probably made you as an employee successful and valuable to the company that you work for? How about being a great team player? That's important. Willing to take direction. How about pursue goals that are set by others? How about I'm a specialist. When I'm an employee, I'm a specialist. I have a very specific thing, not my job, right? Specialist, usually in parentheses, if you're writing, what's a specialist? You know, when you say not my job, that means you're a specialist, right? Adopting the company culture. See, I let everybody else make the decisions and I just do what they tell me to do. I adopt a company. I perform in a very structured environment. A very structured environment. Here's your desk. Here's your phone. Here's your computer. A very structured environment. The final one that most entrepreneurs struggle with when they first make the leap is shifting from the employee mindset that my work schedule has already been defined for me.
Right.
Employees have a work schedule that's already defined for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest one. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest one I see, is not being able to manage yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're not working. Oftentimes it means that they are not having time off. They have no end to their day. They go home and they're still in it.
Hey, remote work does it, right? I have a home office here. And I'm currently running 3 businesses. Right. And so a lot of people ask me, how do I get it done? I get it done by shifting my time allocation based on what tasks do I need to get done, and what time slot do those need to be in, right? Like when I'm working on developing marketing resources for my marketing company, right? I need that. Actually, that's the best time for me to do that is in the evening from like 10:30 to 1 a.m. Right? That's the best time for me to get work done because it's uninterrupted time. I can have super laser focus because I'm developing funnels and workflows and automation. And I need I need a very logical, linear ability thought without interruptions. Right. So that's thing. So it's understanding how to manage your time. And that comes from self-leadership. Know your role, live your role, get out of your own way.
Yeah, and I think it also comes from really knowing yourself. If you know that you need an hour in the day to unwind and have lunch, then make sure that you're scheduling that in, right? Whatever it is that you need to do. If you know that you need to get a workout in the morning, then make sure that you're dedicating that time and really doing that before you get to the office. That's me. I have to work out before I come to the office. It may mean I'm going to the gym, taking a walk at the beach, but I got to do something physical. Even though I don't like getting up early, I'm usually up by about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Okay. Because I understand that I need that time in the morning so that when I get to the office, like it's go time, I'm ready. So I love that. And Jennifer had a great comment. She said, you know what, one of the things that served me well was having business hours. I completely agree. I see this a lot. One thing I'd love to ask you, Ron, I see this quite often also. A lot of people, let's kind of rewind back to somebody that they are currently an employee. They have a side hustle that they would like to go full time with. And so they are kind of putting on these gas and the brakes, right? They're doing both at the same time. What are some things that they can do to help them to kind of manage that? Because that to me, that's exhausting. I never did that. I've been an entrepreneur for many years now, but if somebody's doing that, what are some things they should watch out for? Maybe some best practices.
So let's put a pause on that for a second and maybe jot a note so you bring me back to that. But I want to go to what Jennifer talked about, right? And yes, having business hours. Can you put that comment back up there that Jennifer had? And I want to point out something that really makes a huge differentiation when you move into really turning into a servant leader. One of the things that serves me well is having business hours. Now, I love business hours. I'd like to have business hours. I'd like to be able to put everything in a box. However, during COVID, we learned that we can reach more people on a much larger scale. So I've had coaching clients that are in the UK. I've had coaching clients in Canada. So while I would like my business hours to be this, when that time zone shift happens, now I have to adjust so what I would say to this is, how do I create business hours that serve others, right? Servant leadership and really expanding your understanding on how to impact the most people possible. But that doesn't mean that I should extend my day. That just means that maybe on those days of the week, I shift my hours. But I would say the thing that helps my business grow is finding ways to, and serving people and meeting them where they are. Meeting them where they are. That's a big difference. See, as an employee, we're forced to fit into somebody else's model. As an entrepreneur, I get to create the model. I get to create the structure, and I figure out ways to meet more people where they are so I can serve them where they are, so I can get them the results that they want, how they want them, when they want them. So I just wanted to touch on that. Great point, Jennifer.
Yeah, that is so good.
And we're going to get to this, right? Because a defined work schedule, but yet having flexibility, that's one of the biggest things. I went to Aspire twice now. So if you're anywhere and you're seeing Aspire tour coming to your city, go. Take the day off and go. And I went to the very first one in Chicago last year. I went to this one this year. And here's what all these very highly successful people talked about. The greatest challenge entrepreneurs will have will not be building capital. There'll be plenty of money for you. Money will be out there. You will find ways to find money. The biggest challenge will be not being able to pivot and be flexible enough to grow beyond the ceiling that we've created for ourselves. All right, let's go back to your question.
That's
Play
so
it back
good.
to-
But let me highlight a point there because I love what you're saying about being available. Hours of operation may mean you have to accommodate other people's schedule, like their schedule. I actually got invited to do a podcast. And it was pretty funny because I do it on Monday mornings with Eric F. King. A lot of you know him. But when he first did the invitation, he said, Leah, you know what? I have an idea, but you know what? It probably won't work. I said, try me. What is it? He said, well, I have an idea to start a podcast, but it would be at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard, which means it's 4 a.m. your time. But he said, it's just going to be audio. I said, you know what? I can't do that every day, but I can do it one day. So we started out with 1 day a week, and it was just audio. So I didn't have to do my hair and stuff. And then after a little while, it started getting popular. He said, you know what? We're going to bring other people on and we're going to go live. Now it's 4 a.m. in California. So, but you know what? I loved it because I get up at 2:30 in the morning on Mondays. Some people call it Sunday night. I'm not really sure what it is, but to be on live on Monday morning. And I do it because it challenges me. Remember what I said, I'm not a morning person by nature, but I love doing things that are not in my character, that don't come easy, because I tell myself, you know what? I'm a champion and champions do hard things. That's what I tell my precious grandson. You're a champion, mijo, and champions do hard things. He was playing with his Legos. I got him this Lego set that has motors and remote controls. Like, my kids never had Legos like that. And I said, you know what? I don't really know how to do this. He figured out how to jigger it together and get that remote control. He's like 5 years old, so I think that when we challenge ourselves, we're also proving to ourselves that we truly can do hard things, that we can do things that others won't and can't and make excuses to, so that we can have the things that others won't. So I love that you said that. Absolutely. Hi, Christy. Hi. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Florida. Thank you for joining us, Christy Williams. I have a coffee chat coming up with you pretty soon. So yeah, go ahead and let's circle back to that question now. Let's say, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are still employees and they're trying to navigate both worlds. What are some things that they can think about, or some resources to kind of help them through that, so they can fire their boss? This is what I call it.
It's funny that you mentioned technology, right? Because one of the things Jeff Henderson talks to us about when he talks about technology is that, people our age, people in our season of life, we are technology immigrants, right? So I want you to think of it that way. Think of it as we are technology immigrants, but the people who are coming up, they're technology residents, right? They grow up with it. It's in their things, right? It's part of their everyday. So just understanding how to leverage the tech. So here's what I would tell you. Let's cover what is the mindset shift. How about that? How about we cover what is the mindset shift? And if you're stuck in that space, if you're stuck in that in-between space, maybe this will help you when you're asking yourself, am I ready to move my side hustle to a full-time job? Am I and entrepreneurship doesn't start at entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship starts at solopreneurship. So let's run down this list really quick. The core skills of an entrepreneur who's trying to build a CEO mindset. Ambition. I actually had a job and I was actually told, Ron, you're a great guy for the job. You have all the technical skills and tactical skills. You're just a little too passionate. That was the last job I had. That was the last job that I had for a long time. It was at that moment I thought something's not right. I have to change this. So, all right, ambition, self-motivated. Self-motivated. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I see it. I know that there's something needs to be done. And when people ask me, Ron, what are some, Lee, you get that question all the time, especially I'm sure you get it when people are saying, what is the one thing I need to do to invest to be rich? What is the one thing? The one thing you need to learn is there's not one thing. Right? And entrepreneurship is the same way. I have to be self-motivated. There's not one thing that I do. There's patterns and trends, because success leaves clues. There's patterns and trends. There's best business practices, but there's not one thing. Not one thing. Okay. I'll come right back to you there on that question about what is mindset shift. So I'm shifting from, I'm self-motivated. I'm not waiting for other people to tell me what to do. I look at things much more strategic. My goals are strategic goals. I'm not task-oriented, right? I'm very resourceful. Oh, my superpower, speed. I move with a lot of speed and a lot of intentionality. John says in his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, Nike only had it half right when they said, just do it. Intentionality is just do it now.
Nice.
Just do it now. So stop telling yourself that when I sell 10 more of these, then I'll do it. When I sell 15 of these, then I'll do it. When I sell 20 of these, then I'll do it. Right? Okay. Resourcefulness. Being a generalist, you're going to have to do a little bit of everything. Right? The buck stops here. Self-directed learning. Self-directed learning. One of the things that I've become, and one of the greatest mentors that I've worked with, she told me, Ron, you need to become a skill collector. A skill collector, right? Yeah. The more skills I can collect, the more resourceful I can be, because the more I expand my knowledge base, the more I can see opportunity and the more I can apply those skills. Self-directed learning is key. Tolerance of risk. Leah, this is the one right here. This is the key. That's why earlier I planted the seed, right? Entrepreneurship is taking an immense amount of risk with no promise of reward. If you have a very low risk tolerance, if your threshold to risk is very low, if it makes you uncomfortable, the thought about not having a paycheck deposited in your account every other Friday freaks you out, this is not for you.
Right.
This is not for you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Dynamic work schedule. Be where you need to be when the people that you're serving need you to be there. Because that's going to open up your ability to serve more people. And that's where the scale is going to come from. So I think that goes back to that question, right? Like, this is a list of things that if I'm working with somebody who says, Ron, I have this great side hustle, I need a coach, I need a mentor. And here's something about coaches and mentors. Every single successful person, no matter who they are, I don't care who they are, ask John Maxwell, ask Tony Robbins, ask John Gordon, ask Grant Cardone, ask Brandon Dawson, anybody that you look up and say, entrepreneur success, and you find them somewhere, I promise you that every single one of them is going to say they have a coach, they have a mentor, and the thing that they wish they would have done was got one sooner.
Yes.
Got one sooner.
Yes. We got a few extra comments here. And Tanique, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She's been dropping a lot of golden nuggets. You know what? They are picking up what you're putting down here, Ron. This is awesome. And Adrian, thank you for joining us, Adrian. It is really wonderful to see you too. Adrian she's kind of our silent cheerleader. She's everywhere. She cheers us all on. I don't know if I've ever heard her speak, but she is everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us, Adrian. And then Kendra, you know what she said? Skill collector. Skill stacking is a concept I'm grabbing onto tightly. I mean, you are dropping so many golden nuggets. I love that you're putting the golden nuggets. I want to know if you have any questions for Ron. We have him here for a few more minutes. So how would we kind of tie it all together? Should someone start? Let's say they are an entrepreneur and they having some success, but now they find themselves maybe kind of plateauing, right? They can only get to so much. And now they've got to start scaling. They need to start looking for employees and upgrading their systems. What are some things that they should look for? What should they start looking towards?
So I want to share this with people who are maybe in that already into that entrepreneur journey, or they're getting ready to make the leap, right? And here's how I explained it. Starting your business is like bringing a newborn home.
Yeah.
I want you to think about that for a second. You know, the emotional attachment you have to your job is very different from the emotional attachment you're going to have to your business. But you have to treat your business like it's an infant, like it's a newborn that just came home. You see, when the infant and the newborn first comes home, the infant doesn't care that you didn't sleep, doesn't care that you didn't eat, doesn't care that you have to go to work, doesn't care that you had a flat tire today, doesn't care that you had an argument with your spouse, does not care. Right? It's not lack of void of emotion. It just doesn't care. I need sustenance. I need sleep. I need my diaper change. When I cry, I expect you to come. Right? And so your business is that newborn. And until the newborn can start to take care of itself, you must feed it. You must change it. You must nurture it. So I want to kind of toss that out there. What are some of the things that you need to think of? Start treating your business. Make the shift from really understanding the accounting side of your business. Know what you're worth. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I built that landscape company from $30,000 to $1.4 million in year 4, for the first 4 years, I had an immense amount of financial discipline. I only drew $100 a week from that business. It was my primary source of income. I lived on $100 a week. I figured out how to do it. Okay. Wow. And that's because I reinvested every bit of money that came in because my business was growing and scaling so quickly. And that was in 2000. We didn't have social media. We didn't have digital marketing. Websites didn't really come around until like 05, 06-ish. Digital, we had cell phones. We had these little Nextel phones. Do you press to talk? Beep, beep. And that was cool at the time, right? That was the thing to have. So, you know, making sure that you're building and you're understanding the other components of your business, because the thing that's going to launch you initially is going to be that innovative drive, that idea, right? And continue to use that to scale your business. Here's one of the things I did when I started the landscape company. I went around and I didn't tell people what I can do for them. I asked them what they didn't like about their current service.
That's great.
What don't you like about your current service? And if I do that, would you hire me? Right? And I started to find those trends in that market space. And that's what I did. I found a way to yes. Okay? Because here's what Zig Ziglar says about no. Important for entrepreneurs with no. Because you have to get over and you have to have an immense amount of emotional regulation and emotional resilience.
Yes.
Because you're going to hear a lot of no's. You're going to have success and they're going to think, look at me, I got it. This is so easy. See, when you do it as a side hustle, it's fun.
Right.
And then entrepreneurs take their side hustle full time. And for the first year, it's still a lot of fun. And then at some point, it becomes work. So let me tell you what Zig Ziglar says. Besides, if you want all the things in life, give people what they want and you'll get the things you need. Right? Give the people what they need and you'll get what you need. But when he says no, this is what he says about the word N-O. When somebody says no, N-O to you, it's because they don't know K-N-O-W why to say yes. You're going to hear a lot of no's, but are you listening for why they didn't say yes? Are you changing it? And then know yourself, be your role, and get out of your own way, because you get to choose. Nobody's telling you what you can and can't do. You can do whatever you want. You're the entrepreneur. You're the business owner. Okay. And eventually that business is going to grow. And if you know your accounting process, you're going to be able to look at that business and the revenue of the business, and you're going to be able to calculate what your estimated hourly rate is.
That's right.
And when you can determine what your estimated hourly rate is, I'll give you the formula really quick. I don't expect you to remember it. Take your gross earnings for the year, divide it by 2080. That's what your estimated hourly rate is. Okay. So maybe you can do it over there. You're the accounting whiz, right? So let's say I made $100,000 this year. I divide 100,000. I generated the business generated $100,000 in gross earnings. I take $100,000 in gross earnings and I divide it by 2080. 2080 is what the average 40-hour employee would work 52 weeks out of the year. That's going to give me an hourly rate. That's what my effort generated for the business. I start seeking things that I'm doing in my day-to-day business that I can get done by somebody else for significantly less than what my estimated hourly rate is, because I should be doing activities in my business that generate as close to that estimated hourly rate as I possibly can.
Yeah. That is so good, because a lot of entrepreneurs are doing tasks like, cutting their lawn, they're washing the windows. It's like, no.
At the rudimentary level, Leah, you have to understand, as an entrepreneur, when you start hiring employees, you are literally buying time. It's not an expense. It's not a cost. You are buying time. And we can go to Gerber and we can look at Gerber and what he says about the E-Myth Revised. Okay. I first listened to Gerber when I had my landscape company in about 2006, 2007. A friend of mine handed me a stack of CDs. And he says, "Hey, I know you spend a lot of time in your truck. Pop this in the player and listen to this guy." And that was the first time that I heard, are you spending time working in your business, or are you spending time working on your business?
Yeah.
And the working on your business task should be the ones that are generating closer to that EHR, that estimated hourly rate that you created as a solopreneur. And the working in the business tasks should be the things that you can pay somebody else to do so you can buy time.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it.
Now, it doesn't necessarily mean here's the first pitfall that when I'm working with entrepreneurs and the first thing they do is they take all the things off their list that they don't like doing.
Yeah.
Like cold calling.
Yeah.
I need a cold caller. No, you don't need a cold caller. You need to continue to make the calls because you're still building your business. You still need to be the gatekeeper. You still need to build the brand. They're hiring you for now. There will be a point where you need to build your brand. You need to shift from an icon brand to a value brand, because that's how we create evaluations. That's how we sell our businesses. That's the goal.
That's good.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So, wow.
That is so, so good. Great stuff. Listen, if there was some value here, make sure to share this with somebody, put their name in the comments and really let other people hear this. Ron shared a lot of golden nuggets, a lot of wisdom, a lot of gold bars. And I know that there's a lot of wisdom that a lot of you are going to take some of this and put it in your pocket. So Ron, we're kind of winding down here. I know you've accomplished a lot of things, but we're winding down for 2024. What's on the horizon? What can we expect to see from you in 2025 as we thrive in 2025?
Yeah. So listen, 2025 is going to be all about, we just launched a new brand. So I launched company number 4. So I'm at a point now where I make that transition where, in the beginning, you're really tied to the company name, but now it's like kids, right? Like I'm kid number 5. Like, who's that? That's number 5, right? I mean, I grew up the oldest of 5, so I guess I can say that tongue in cheek, right? So proper guidance will continue to grow. So what is proper guidance? Proper guidance is the coaching, speaking, training business where it's all about you. So when I built that company, I took the word proper and I split it in half, because I continued to work with people who had this question: where should I spend more of my time? Personal development or professional development? And I say those should coexist. So when I decided I wanted to start coaching and mentoring for fee, I said, listen, I want to take proper and I want to play on professional development and personal development and putting those together and provide you guidance. So I don't like saying I'm a consultant. I like to say that I'm just a great coach and mentor. And then what is the difference between coaching and mentoring? That's a totally different call. But just think tactical and strategic. Coaches are very tactical in what they do. They're very task oriented. Mentors are very strategical oriented, and they should be helping you build your vision and executing on the vision. Entrepreneurs get coaches. CEOs get mentors. Okay. All right. So that's all about proper guidance. It's all about you getting you the results you want, the way you want them, because not everybody wants the same results, right? Getting you the results you want, the way you want them, how you want them. The other brand that we just launched is called Impact Flow. And I did this because I found so many people that were building businesses that just didn't know how to build a personal brand. So I created a business where we're going to be using Go High Level, right? No secret. We're using Go High Level, which is, is dominating the marketplace right now.
Yes.
In digital marketing, brand building. So we're using Go High Level to create resources and marketing tools for leaders. Right. We initially launched as it's going to be focused on coaches, trainers, and speakers who have affiliated content, licensed content, who need a marketing outlet. But we see that moving, and I'm already starting to get people. We launched a week and a half ago. We brought in 18 early adopters. We're going to work with them for the next 6 months on proof of concept. And I'm already getting requests from other people in the service industry, roofers, HVAC, just general contractors, on how do I build. So these are going to be marketing solution for leaders. That's Impact Flow. So our goal with Impact Flow is to hit 100 subscribers, by the end of Q2. So by the end of June of 2025, we want to have 100 active subscribers on our platform. And the purpose of, marketing solution for leaders, that's the focus of Impact Flow. And it's really driven on how we can help people build their personal brand to make, we get in marketing terms, right? More market penetration, gain more market share. But the reality is just how do you become better known? Because best known beats best. Write that down.
Absolutely.
Best known beats best.
Absolutely. I agree. That's why McDonald's, we just think of that, right? Go to the McDonald's theory. So this was awesome. I loved it. I took a ton of notes, a lot of great wisdom. So I know there are going to be people now and in the future, because a lot of people watch this on the recording also. Ron, how can they reach you? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Ron at properguidanceforyou.com. All one word, proper guidance, the number 4, the letter u.com. You can go to the website, properguidanceforyou.com, PROPERGUIDANCE, the number 4, the letter u.com. If you hit the contact form on the website and you put in the comments, I saw you on Wealthy Wednesday, or you mentioned Leah, I will give you a 1-hour free call, one-on-one free call, either voice or Zoom, doesn't matter to me. And I will answer any of the questions that you may have on making the shift from employee to entrepreneur, or those entrepreneurs who are struggling, moving from solopreneur to entrepreneur. I'll answer 1 hour free, no obligation.
Wow.
Just mention this live, and I will set you up with a 1-hour call.
That is, oh my gosh, Ron, that is so gracious of you. So make sure you're going to put your contact information in the comments when we end this, because I know you're going to get people reaching out to you. That's amazing. What an incredible gift. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I honor you. This was a lot of fun. Great golden nuggets, a lot of things to put in our pockets and things to study and replay. This is one that you're going to want to watch again and study. Absolutely. So, you know what? Thank you, everybody who joined us. Tonique, Christy, Kendra, Adrian, and a lot of others here who joined us, and a lot of others who are going to see this in the future. I just have so much fun doing this. And one of the reasons why I do this, I don't know if all of you know this or you're catching this, but I pick leaders that I feel that I can learn from. And Ron, you were definitely filled the bill in that for sure. You and I are definitely going to do some future collaborations. I love your thinking. I love the way that you phrase things. You're giving me some different words to use because we never know what's going to resonate with somebody, right? As I'm building my team and working with my clients, you just never know what's going to touch them and touch their heart. So I really love that. So thank you all. We appreciate all of you. That's going to do it for this week of Wealthy Wednesday. And by the way, if you would love to get my one-page financial plan, The Wall of Wealth, where you can literally check your own finances and identify the booby traps that are hidden in your own financial plan, please go to my Biz in a Box, which is leahgarcia.io, leahgarcia.io, and download my Wall of Wealth. You will absolutely be blown away. I can't take credit for it. That is my smart link. That is from Hello LLC, Mr. Mike Drop, David Jones, and of course, the beautiful Miss Tara. She's actually, I call her Mrs. Claus now because she gives so much. She's just like a Christmas all the time. So that's going to do it for all of us. We will see you all at the top because we all know it is way too crowded at the bottom. Thank you, everyone. Happy Wealthy Wednesday.